This bike doesn't stop. Ah, this is why you can't go out in traffic.
Whole Shot Power Sports, you guys know the deal. Give them a shout out. All right, so I was out here doing some reviews on some Indian motorcycles. Please, please, please go check those out if you haven't seen them. I've gotten grand majority of their lineup, but they actually got this beast sitting here on a trade-in, a 3rd generation Hayabusa, the Peregrine Falcon. Let's go take it for a ride.
We are on a 3rd generation Hayabusa. I don't know what year this is, 22, 23, something like that. But 3rd gen Busa, 7,000 miles, first 30 seconds. It's a big bike. Surprisingly enough, the brake lever is actually pretty spongy and the rear brake is actually pretty tight. So that's actually pretty surprising. Usually you have a lot more tightness on the front. She's a big bike, man. I'm used to riding the sports bikes, but obviously this thing is a couch on 2 wheels. All the big bikes, so Busa and ZX-14, really, I guess my VFR would kind of fit into that, are fairly friendly when it comes to actually handling. They are less aggressive, which is why more people like the Busas than, for example, a 1000 or a Gixxer 600, because of the friendliness. They're a little bit more upright. The bikes themselves are a little bit lower, and that's true with this Hayabusa. We're gonna take it around some low speed stuff, which is absolutely 100% not where this bike wants to be. But again, from slow speed stuff, I haven't taken it over 5,000 RPMs. Fairly easy to handle. Obviously it's a sport bike, so flicks around nice side to side. It wants to stay leaned over. It does have a quick shifter, and the quick shifter works at 4,000 RPMs where I just was. Staying here nice and low speed, nice and quiet. The bike seems manageable, man. I'm going through this neighborhood nice and quiet, trying not to make too much noise, going 30 miles an hour. Obviously you can feel your weight on, you know, on your hands a little bit if you're leaning forward. On most sport bikes, if you do this thing where you put your ball of your foot on the peg and not your arch or your heel, and you pinch the tank and you hold yourself upright, you don't need to use your hands. I'm leaning forward with my body, not with my arms, and then I just place my arms down. So my core, my legs are holding me in place. Welcome to the trick on how to make a sport bike comfortable and not burn your wrists after a while. The weaker your back is, the weaker your legs are, the less comfortable it's gonna feel.
Also, if I haven't told you, go ahead and subscribe. I'm almost at 1,000. Help me get there, please. Click that button below.
On this particular bike, I'm pretty sure it's this particular bike, that front brake lever takes a lot of travel to come in. May need a fluid change, may need a pad change. That's probably a lot to do with it. The throttle has nice spring tension. I personally would adjust a little bit of free play out of it, but that's just me. Slow speed stuff, look through where you're going, and yeah, she's comfortable through these slow speed stuff. It seems fairly easy to find. Let's get in front of this car, because on a Busa and behind a car is not where you want to be.
So after riding this big thing for a little while at the slow speed stuff, it is honestly probably the most friendly of the sport bikes once you know what to do with your wrist. But I think we could go a little faster now. Time to see what this thing's about.
Yeah. Also, this thing has a Brox exhaust. Listen to that. Cannot argue with that, man. A nice pop on the shift. Yes, this bike is fast. You know, the thing that's very surprising to me about this Hayabusa compared to a 1000 and a 600 is 1000 and a 600, they are actually less comfortable. A Busa, and this is also true for the ZX-14. If you haven't seen the video where I did the ZX-14, watch this. I didn't actually ride it in that video, but I have ridden it. These things are actually way more comfortable. So Busas and ZX-14s are actually more comfortable street riding motorcycles. Yes, they're more powerful. Yes, you're not supposed to be going that fast. Yes, they are redundant for the street. But in terms of comfort, they actually provide a little bit more comfort, and they actually provide a little bit of stability. Comparatively speaking to the 600, the ZX6 particularly, it's less flickable in the initial flick, but you can still get the same level of flick back and forth, and you can still get the same level of lean. It just happens slightly more slowly. So the initial tip in, you feel a little bit more weight. On the opposite end, you also feel a little bit more weight, and the time it takes to go from here to here takes longer. So you need to start turning a little bit sooner, or you need to start putting your inputs in a little bit sooner. It's a little bit slower back to back, but it's still faster than a cruiser, and you know, like for example my Sportster or the Magna or the VFR, it's still faster back to back than those bikes. It's just a little bit slower than the 600. And honestly, comparatively speaking to my R1, which is a first gen R1, I would 100% say that this is actually more flickable than that, even though that bike is lighter. This bike is more modern, man. It has a lot more tech in it. It has a lot more features. It has a lot more design into it, to where you can actually feel that. And here, cruising 3,000 RPMs, man, this bike is literally buttery smooth. I'll go into 6. I'm going 50 miles an hour in 6 gear, just cruising, right? Literally just cruising. Give it a little bit of throttle. It has power to accelerate, even at low RPMs in 6 gear, right? Look at that. This bike has get arrested power everywhere. And, you know, that's true for literally every Busa ever since they existed. Oh, it has an auto blipper. Yeah. 4th, 3rd. Man, and that's part throttle, guys. That is not full throttle. I'm telling you, that's like 30% throttle. That is stupid power.
So yeah, this bike is an absolute beast. That is incredible.
The seat on this thing actually is fairly soft. I don't know if this is a factory seat. Well, little bender here, mid-corner, and honestly, it's smooth. Flowing down mid-corner, she accepts it, she takes it. The only thing that I would say is this brake lever. Man, here, let me adjust it. Maybe that's it. Oh, it would help if it was adjusted out. That's still a pretty decent amount of travel. I expected the brakes on this thing, the front brakes on this thing, to be a little bit more tight. We'll just go ahead and chalk it up to brake pads, because it stops. Like, as soon as I pull the lever, it actually dives forward, and I have a little bit of travel. Listen to that Brock's exhaust. Damn.
I know that exhaust sounds good, man. It sounds real good. Check this out.
This bike has some power. Yeah. All right, so 55, 2nd gear. There are cars doing U-turns, so I can't do nothing there. All right, here we go. Get a little push, 2nd gear. This is not all the beans. 100% not all the beans. Never mind. Ah, this is why you can't go out in traffic. Oh, the Busa's too fast for traffic. All right, I'll get on it a little bit later. What else do we got here? That's it. It's a Busa. It's fast. End of review. See you guys later. Surprisingly enough, this bike has a lot of power, but it actually delivers it fairly evenly. I'll have to show you guys when I get some more space, which I may not right now, just given the amount of traffic that there is. It actually gives you a smooth power increase, like the same amount of level of acceleration that you get at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. It progressively increases all the way through as you get closer to redline. And it's not like whereas the 600, you don't get nothing and then you get everything. This is like everything, everywhere, all the time. And you can definitely feel it. Like, you have to be easy on the throttle. But if you don't give it a lot of throttle input, it's not aggressive, right? Now, it doesn't have a lot of room for error. If you're a new rider and you accidentally, whoop, you're gonna accidentally yeet yourself off this bike for sure. After you've ridden it for a while and you know where the throttle is and you feel the weight and that throttle percentage, like you're good at, you know, 10 to 5 to 15% throttle in that range, the bike's not gonna like give you anything you don't ask for. So, you know, it is a friendly throttle if you're not making mistakes, right? It's easy to maneuver if you're not making mistakes. If you're accidentally giving it one of these, you know, you're accidentally going to get yeeted off the bike. And, you know, that's true for all big bikes, not just the Busa. So you have to be a lot more careful, and there's a lot less room for forgiveness, that's for sure. Overall, it actually is fairly, you know, it feels fairly decent. I love the sound of this bike on that quick shift, that blah, blah. Here we are, 70 miles an hour, cruising, and I'm in 4th gear at 4,000 RPM. On any sort of sport bike, cruising at traffic speeds feels painstakingly slow, especially after you get used to going a little bit quicker. These bikes, they handle 60, 70 miles an hour like nothing. It's not even half of the tack. 80, and you still have more than double the tack left to go, or more than the other half of the tack left to go. So this is nothing. I'm getting a clean gust of air at my helmet. I don't feel it much on the chest. When you're tucking right here like this, Obviously, I don't really feel much. All the air is going around me. It's sport bike ergonomics. Even though slightly more friendly, this bike I don't believe is lowered in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't feel lowered. For some reason, I find that Busas and ZX-14s just kind of sit a little bit lower naturally. The throttle is very responsive. I did that with the clutch, but I didn't have to, so I'll go back to 6, and you could just drop it in and it does all that for you automatically. I got some space over here to just gain some speed. Nothing too crazy. Honestly, the difference between this, a 600, 1000, and the Busa, so we're talking Gixxer specifically, man, is how effortless that power is. They all have power. They all have get you in trouble power. It's just the bigger you go, the less effort you have to put in. And by effort, I mean twist of the throttle, right? A 600 to get the beans, you have to give it more than 50% throttle and rev it out. On 1000, you got to give it some throttle, but you don't have to rev it out as much, and even less on this machine. So that's pretty much the big difference, is as you get bigger, they get less forgiving. In terms of heat, I don't really feel anything on this. Not even the exhaust down there. I can't really feel anything. I can't tell. Transmission smooth, hasn't not gone into gear. Obviously a quick shift, so you just pop it into gear, it does its job. The computer and the electronics take care of the rest. The bike has gods of power, gods amount of power. There's no getting around it. Overall, it's actually a really comfortable ride. Strangely enough, if you're okay with sport bike ergonomics, the Hayabusa and the ZX-14 are the bikes that you want to go long distance on. They're more comfortable than 600s, they're more comfortable than 1000s for extended trips, but they are less beginner friendly. They will fucking burn you if you're not good on throttle control. If you accidentally, you're gonna accidentally eat yourself off this bike. This is not the bike to mess around with in terms of how you give it throttle. You need to be very precise with your hand, and you need to have a good feel for how the throttle progresses. Definitely give it a little bit of throttle, a little bit more, until you actually get comfortable with it, and then you're able to kind of send it. Because this bike, if you come out and you give it a punch and you give it too much throttle too quickly, the front tire will lift up off the ground. You will actually send yourself off of the bike 100%. You have to be slow and deliberate with the power delivery if you're going to keep the front wheel down and you're going to gain speed in the forward direction, right? Because if you give it too much throttle too quick, you'll gain speed, but you're going that way. You're not going that way. Yeah, that's just true for all the bigger bikes, right? I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a rundown. But too much power too quickly is not what you want to be doing on this bike. All right, and nice little smooth turnaround. This bike is big and fast, so we're gonna go third gear 50 miles an hour, because why not? This bike doesn't stop. Oh my god, this bike does not stop accelerating ever. That was pinned, that was full throttle. I did not pin it completely until about halfway through third gear. Wow, this thing just accelerates. It really does. It just goes. It doesn't matter where you are, where it is, it just goes. And that was third gear. There was more in second. Wow.
We're more than halfway to getting monetized, guys. I need like 400 more subs. So if you like this video and I provided any sort of value to you, hit that subscribe button below. Help me get to the 1,000.
Give it one more rip till we get to where we're going. Wow. Yeah, this thing doesn't stop accelerating, man. But you know what? It's so effortless that my heart isn't necessarily racing right now. That's interesting. My heart isn't pounding completely. It's fast, but it's not like it does it so easily that it just takes time to register. I don't know how fast I was going, but wow. That's all I gotta say is just wow.
For more reviews like this and other bike content, check out this video right here.